Hello, and welcome to the Safe at Home video series. These videos are intended to help better prepare you in your role as a family partner when working with families alongside the Oregon Department of Human Services Child Welfare Agency. These videos are meant to be used as a guide as you partner with the Safe at Home program, the Child Welfare Agency, and the children, youth, and families with an open child welfare case. To request additional training in a specific area, please connect with your point of contact at Safe at Home. This video, Understanding Your Family Partner Role, will provide an introduction to child welfare while giving an overview of your expectations as a family partner. In this video, we will focus on introducing the Safe at Home program, going over child welfare's values and beliefs and the role of the Child Welfare Agency, as well as completing a brief overview of the Oregon Safety Model, or OSM for short, all in hopes of helping you better understand your role as a family partner. Feel free to take notes or jot down any questions or comments that you may want to follow up with at a later time. Now let's get started. The Safe at Home program strives to support families that are working with ODHS child welfare and have had their children removed and placed into foster care due to abuse or neglect. The goal of the program is to provide support, encouragement, and help families carry out the activities detailed in their case plan to help children exit foster care and help families reunite. You may have entered your family partner role as a community volunteer, ready to help families as needs arise. Or you may have entered your family partner role as some kind of natural support, meaning you may be acquainted with the family to some degree. Perhaps you're a relative, a friend, or a neighbor, a community partner, or school professional. Whichever it is, we are glad you're here. The more variety of supports a family has, the more likelihood for them to feel empowered, build resiliency, and live healthier lives. And that is exactly what we hope to encourage when we partner with families. As part of becoming a family partner, it is important that you are aware of child welfare's values and beliefs to ensure that we are aligning our services to accommodate families in the ways they need best. Child welfare believes children and young adults do best when they grow up in a family, which is why ODHS is partnering with you to return children back to parents' care as soon as conditions for return have been met. Your role is to help manage the in-home child safety while the parent continues working on their case plan and while the child is out of foster care. Child welfare believes communities already have the wisdom and assets to provide safe, stable, and healthy lives for their children. As a family partner, we want you to be part of this community where children can grow and thrive in environments that want families to succeed. Child welfare knows that they need a partner, listen, and lift up community voices and their decision-making power. With every day, the agency strives to be more trauma-informed, culturally aware, while applying an equity-driven lens. These are practices we expect you to uphold as a family partner as well. There is more to come on these practices in a follow-up video. Child welfare believes families and communities working together in a proactive, holistic way will allow ODHS and its partners to allocate resources where they have the greatest impact. And lastly, child welfare believes that when families and communities are strong, fewer children experience abuse and neglect. ODHS child welfare values fairness, equity, inclusion, accessibility, diversity, and transparency in their work. Also, the voices, experiences, culture, intellect, and uniqueness of the children and families they serve. The agency also values building authentic relationships and being accountable to communities of color and other marginalized communities by elevating their voices and proactive engagement. By the time you come in contact with the family, there will have been already a series of events that would have taken place putting a child in foster care. The following few slides will better inform you about how a case travels through the agency. First, a call is made to the ODHS hotline regarding abuse and/or neglect of a child. A screener uses criteria to determine if a child is unsafe and if further assessment is required by Child Protective Services, or CPS. If further assessment is required, a CPS caseworker is assigned to assess if there is present or impending danger occurring. CPS then determines if one of the 16 safety threats is present and meets the safety threshold criteria. If a safety threat and abuse are founded, CPS and law enforcement, with family help if possible, decide whether the child can be safely kept at home or if a child must be placed in protective custody. The following are the 16 safety threats. Feel free to stop the video to read the safety threats in more detail. You do not need to have these memorized. Once you receive a case, the caseworker will inform you which of these safety threats pertains to the family you are working with, and will also go over your expectations in monitoring safety when the child returns home. Again, if one or more of the previous safety threats is founded, CPS and law enforcement decide whether the child can be safely kept at home or if a child must be placed in protective custody. If a child is removed from a parent and placed into protective custody or foster care, then the case moves from a CPS to the permanency unit, and a new caseworker is assigned. The permanency caseworker will create an ongoing safety plan. The family will have court hearings, community meetings, classes, and other referrals to complete as part of their ongoing safety plan. The caseworker will continue contact with the child and the family at this time and will be monitoring behavior changes and progress toward obtaining in-home conditions for return. In other words, the caseworker will determine when certain conditions or criteria have been met for a child to exit their foster care placement and return home to their family. This is not to be confused with case closure. Once a family has met their in-home conditions for return criteria, then an in-home safety plan will be created. This is different from the ongoing safety plan that was previously created because now the child will be in their home. This new in-home safety plan will include you as a family partner and will detail information about the safety monitoring visits you will be conducting in the family's home. Side note, the caseworker will have met with you already at this point to share about the case and ensure you understand the safety threats and are willing to be a family partner. The family would have also agreed to work with you. At this time, the child can return home to their family with that new in-home safety plan in what ODHS calls trial reunification. Trial reunification means that the case will remain open while the caseworker continues to monitor behavior changes and progress toward case goals or expected outcomes, making adjustments as needed. The case will close once the ODHS Child Welfare Agency determines that child is safe from present and impending threats and that the family has successfully met their case goals and expected outcomes. As you just heard, there is a lot that happens with a child and a family well before you come in contact with them. As a family partner, information from their case will be shared with you based on what you need to know to successfully complete your role of monitoring in-home child safety. It is important that you acknowledge and understand that there will be a lot about a family that you do not know, whether that be directly about their case or other sensitive information. For that, we ask you to show up with compassion as you partner with families during this difficult time of their lives. There will be a lot that is shared with you, but there will also be a lot that is not. Be sensitive to the best of your ability. In a later video, we will be discussing more about families that are involved with child welfare. Now that you have an idea of the process of how a case moves through the Child Welfare Agency, we will take some time to learn a little about the Oregon Safety Model, or OSM. The OSM is a framework for how work is conducted with child welfare, and it helps guide whether circumstances are safe or not. It is used to clarify when ODHS child welfare intervenes in a child's family and is put into place as soon as a family becomes involved with Child Protective Services. It helps provide objectivity when making decisions in case planning. It provides a framework for conditions for return when returning a child to a parent from foster care, and identifies expected outcomes to determine how a child will be safe, will remain safe, and when a case will close. The OSM uses 5 safety threshold criteria to apply to decision-making, which include severity, observability, out of control, vulnerability, and eminence. The OSM includes the 16 safety threats that look at family conditions, behaviors, and circumstances that you saw a few slides back. The in-home conditions for return, otherwise known as the criteria parents must meet for their child to return back to them for trial reunification, are: 1. The parent needs to have a home-like setting where parents and children can live. 2. There needs to be no barriers in the home allowing safety service providers, like you as a family partner, and other activities to occur. 3. At least one parent has to be willing to cooperate with the safety plan. 4. The necessary safety activities and resources need to be available to implement the plan. The in-home safety plan. It is a written document that is used as a communication tool between families and the Child Welfare Agency and the safety service providers, like you as a family partner. It provides a description of the safety threats and the conditions and circumstances that brought the child into foster care. It provides information about how the safety threat is operating and how it is and will be managed. When the conditions for return are met for trial reunification to occur between the family, the plan will outline the duties and responsibilities of the safety service providers and/or family partner. For any questions on the safety plan, ensure you are talking to the caseworker and your point of contact at Safe at Home. Why do you need to know about the OSM, conditions for return, and the in-home safety plan? It is important to know that child welfare goes through a multi-step process of determining when and how a child is unsafe. The open CPS investigation conducts assessments, interviews, and more to make this determination. The families you work with will have had founded abuse as described in the OSM. Children will have experienced some level of trauma from the abuse or neglect they experience from being removed from their parents, and parents will have experienced some trauma being involved with the agency and perhaps other trauma of their own. We will talk about this in a later video. But by the time you are connected to the family, parents will have worked on their case plan a lot with their caseworker. They will have met their conditions for return and will be able to enter an in-home safety plan, getting their child returned back. Parents will continue to work on that in-home safety plan while taking the steps necessary to be a better parent and to close their case. You will be an important part of this equation by helping the Child Welfare Agency monitor a child's safety during the trial reunification period and by being a partner to the family. As a family partner, you must remember that each family is unique and the way you show up for one is not how you would show up for the next. The caseworker will do their best to prepare you for your role by listing how the child is to remain safe in their home and identifying how you will intervene if the child becomes unsafe. The in-home safety plan will have your expectations clearly defined. We will rely on you to ask questions and ask for feedback as you require. Generally speaking, as a family partner, your roles will include to uphold the activities outlined in the safety plan, to understand the safety threats and how they operated with the family to be able to ensure that they do not operate in present time, to provide compassion and empathy for parents, to communicate with the caseworker as indicated in the safety plan, and to ensure you are documenting and checking in with Safe at Home as it is expected to you. The next video will provide more information on how to check your biases if situations come up for you that you do not agree with, how not to impose your parenting standards and values onto others, and how to use an equity lens when working with families. As you participate with the Safe at Home program, it is important for you to recognize that you will not be assessing for child safety. The family you are working with will have already had a safety assessment that was completed where safety threats were identified. This is why they are involved with the agency. These safety threats are outlined in the safety plan that you will have gone over with the caseworker and the family before you begin your work. That safety plan is created by the family's caseworker and other parties, and it will describe how those safety threats that got the family into care will be managed during trial reunification. This is not to say that if you have any safety concerns, you should not communicate these concerns with the caseworker or the Oregon Child Abuse Hotline or other state emergency numbers like 911. If you are suspicious or uncertain of something, it is your duty as a mandated reporter to report that and let the indicated parties handle the situation. However, you will not be assessing child safety when you enter a home. This is not your role. Along with this, you will not be physically removing children from their home or parents. The safety plan that you work with will be clear in stating how you will intervene if a child is in harm's way. You do not need to decide when this should or should not happen. The safety plan will be clear in its expectations on how to keep a child safe. You will not be creating safety plans for a family. Again, this is the caseworker's job. You will, however, have a say in what goes into the safety plan. The caseworker will work with you and share the safety threats that need to be managed in the family's home and will let you know some of the actions that they require from a family partner when managing safety in a home. You will have a say on what you are willing and comfortable participating in, and the caseworker will include this in the safety plan as your responsibilities. Lastly, you will not be responsible for the caretaking of children. During your visitations at a family's home, the parent should always be present. Refer to the safety plan on what to do if this is not the case during your visitation. What do you do if a safety plan is not being followed by a family? First and foremost, ensure that the expectations are discussed with you and the family ahead of time. This means there should be some sort of meeting held by the caseworker where you and the family are together going over the in-home safety plan and the expectations. During this meeting, and it will also be described in the in-home safety plan, You will learn about how to intervene if an unsafe situation with the child arises. If there is any other emergency, call 911. If you want to report abuse, contact the Oregon Child Abuse Hotline at 1-855-503-SAFE. If you have any other concerns, contact the caseworker supervisor, or branch manager while ensuring communication with your point of contact at Safe at Home. With that, we wrap up your introduction to ODHS Child Welfare video. We hope that you have gained some clarity on how the Child Welfare Agency operates and your role as a family partner. Join us for the next video where we will be discussing becoming trauma aware. Thank you.